I remember, driving in my car and listening on the radio, and there was people on the radio talking about Friday the 13th and a full moon, which was, they were talking about superstitions and, if, crazy things happen on a full moon. And I just was kind of listening to it, kind of thinking, well, that's nothing I really believe in. I'm not very superstitious. And other than that, though, it was kind of a normal day leading up to it.
We woke up at like 2:45 in the morning. I thought it was storming, or I thought it was storming, and trees hitting the window in our bedroom. And I woke him up and we saw red outside, so we went to run downstairs. I can't even talk about it. Come on.
And, we thought it was storming. And when I opened the bedroom door, we saw that the guest room was on fire in the hallway. So I yelled, "Fire, get out," and it was kind of a blur at that point. I was kind of looking for the way out, and the front porch where the fire started, the fire was kind of coming through the door almost to the stairs, which was the only exit at that point. So I was kind of trying to lead the way out while she
was right behind him.
And he knocked.
I knocked on the roommate's door and told them, so then they came running behind us. And we just ran out in the backyard and then saw what was going on.
Yeah, and it was kind of hairy getting, by the front door spot. That's where, it was pretty hot and, flames were coming through. But once we got through there, the kitchen and the back exit was fine. But when we got out in the backyard, you saw that the whole roof above us was kind of on fire already. So.
It was, the neighbor, he came running out and he said that he called 911 because none of us had our phones, so we couldn't call. And so then they were nice enough and let us go in their house, put some clothes on. Him and Kyle got some hoses and were trying to put out as much as they could, but then it was just getting too big and too hot. And then the fire department got there.
We get called out early in the morning for a house fire, and so we met back here at the station, loaded up our crews in Andover Engine 11. By the time we got out there, we were informed that it was a fully involved house fire and that all the occupants were out of the fire, out of the residence.
Yeah, fire department got there about 3:15 in the morning, and the picture I sent you was a couple minutes before, so it was about 10-15 minutes after we got out of the house was kind of how the house looked. And they gave us clothes. I got out in what I was sleeping in, a pair of shorts, and we were nice enough to take us in. But it was kind of helpless feeling, watching the fire spread and not being able to stop it.
Emotional, as you can see.
So, but luckily, the two of us and my roommate and her boyfriend all got out of the house. Very minor injuries, so that's the important thing. Everything else can be replaced. It's all material things, but having each other, I think that's the most important thing.
So by the time we got there, my crew, we got out. We put a lot of water on the fire initially. We knew we were going to be defensive on the outside. We could already see into the house from the outside of the road. The walls were already burnt through and all that. Our biggest priority was looking for extension out to the residents on either side of the house to make sure that they didn't get involved as well. Some of the vinyl siding had already started to melt at that point on the houses on either side of it. We went into defensive mode, put a lot of water on the house itself. Finally got it taken care of. We got some mutual aid assistance from Ramsey, Anoka, Champlin, and the Coon Rapids Fire Departments, as well as Station 3 and Station 2 here in Andover. So we had at least 50 firefighters and a lot of equipment out there for this fire.
Yeah, you know, neighbors were great, and I think there's probably 3 or 4 different city fire departments there that night, and most of those guys are volunteers, and guys that are basically on call, and at any given moment can get that phone call where they're away from their families on a given night. So I'd like to definitely give a big thank you to Andover Fire Department and all the other cities that helped out that night, because what they do is not easy. Being on call 24/7 like that, definitely tough. No. No, didn't happen like planned. My plan was 2 weeks after, the house fire happened, we had a plan to go out to Montana, and I was gonna talk to her dad and ask for his permission and blessing, to propose to Cheryl.
Well, earlier in the night, we were talking to one of the neighbors, and that's when he remembered that the ring was in his car. Because he asked me, he's like, "Do you think the garage is okay?" I'm like, "I don't know, they hadn't taken the doors down yet to see what the inside looks like." And then he just stood there. And I was like, "Why?" And he said, "Because there was a surprise in there for you." I'm like, "A surprise?" And then he said the ring was in there, and I'm just like, of course. So then I guess I kind of knew, and then after that, though, we didn't really talk about it again. But I kept thinking that my ring is in the house or the garage in the car, and we don't know if it's okay.
Yeah, at that point, the fire was still going. And then when the fire got, down to the coals and almost put out, then the fire chief, said, do you want us to go look for it? And I was like, well, it's like there was nothing left of the cars at that point. So, and my thought was, the guys had been out there fighting the fire for the last 3 or 4 hours, and I didn't want them kind of wasting their time. But my dad kind of said, yeah, well, it's worth going to look for. They might be able to at least find the diamond or the rock, and the fire chief right there sent, I think 6 or 7 guys in there looking for it.
So my chief asked myself, and then I took 2 of my other firefighters, Chad Schroeder and Steve Curry. We went into the garage, and it was already completely burnt through. Both cars were completely totaled. The roof was in on the garage. And Chad went into the car, and then we just started sifting through it slowly, and through the glove box area of the car. We found an old map that hadn't been burnt all the way through. We found a tire pressure gauge that was still intact. We couldn't find the ring right away. We kept on going through, and then I switched out Chad for Steve in the car, just because of confined space and just trying to work together.
They were looking for a good 20 minutes before they found it.
So then with all of them standing around the car, I knew exactly what they were looking for.
So, and then at the point of when they found it, it was kind of in like a black, almost like rubber is what it got shipped in, because I had it shipped in from Florida, and luckily it was still in that, because that's kind of what saved the ring on the inside. The velvet case inside that was kind of charred and brown, and when I opened it up, the ring was still there. It was dirty. There was some ashes and stuff on it, but it was still there, and it was still intact. So yeah, so I couldn't believe they found it.
I couldn't either.
Remember, going to get what they found, and I remember my mom kind of in the background saying something like, "If they found it, it's a miracle, and you better do it right now." I just remember that, and then when I opened it, there was a group of 4 or 5 firefighters, and her sister was up there, and I just remember, looking at it and seeing that it was still, intact, and I looked at her sister and I said, I think I'm gonna ask her right now, like, do you think that's a good idea? And she just started tearing up, crying, shaking her head yes, like, yep. And she couldn't even speak, but And then I just figured I'd do it there. So. Yeah, not how we had planned.
No.
You know, I was
I
kind
was
of
definitely
thinking
surprised.
all these different spots, and her father lives in kind of by Glacier National Park, and all these different scenic spots that was going through my mind beforehand. You know, never thought it would be in front of a burnt down house, but you know, it kind of was imperfectly perfect in a way, I guess you could call it.
So it was a really good day. It really made us feel pretty good, as well as kind of helped the family out. So it was a tough thing to watch your house get destroyed, and for that one little gesture that we could do to help the family out, it really made us all feel pretty good. So it's a good feeling to say, yeah, we were part of that.
Our insurance company had an investigation, and then the fire chief, you know, they had a police report, and they both said that it was improper disposal of smoking materials. So I thank God that all 4 of us got out okay, because I think if we woke up a couple minutes later, it would have been pretty sketchy getting out of there. So thank God that she's a light sleeper, because I'm a sound sleeper. I would have been still up there sleeping. So we're rebuilding on the same lot that the house burned down. So we just poured the foundation last week and starting to frame it up next week. So yeah, we like that spot. We like that neighborhood. So definitely got to know our neighbors a lot better after the fire. Had a lot of good neighbors.
We don't have an official date. We know next September, but we're trying to figure out what day exactly we're gonna have it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've looked at a venue that we're pretty sure we're gonna go with.
Yeah, for the wedding, we're going to look at Minnehaha Falls tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, for the ceremony, and we're gonna do the reception on a riverboat on the Mississippi. So, we have those details, just not the date.
Yeah.
Something different. It was a unique proposal. Might as well have a unique ceremony and reception.